Welcome to the Montgomery City County Public Library System's Voices in Black History speech competition. We're so glad you have joined us here today. I am Sarah Foster, the Youth Services Coordinator. And starting with our opening remarks is Ms. Yvette Jones-Smedley, Director of Cultural Affairs for the City of Montgomery.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. As she said, I am Yvette Jones-Smedley, Director of Cultural Affairs. And on behalf of Mayor Stephen L. Reed, I bring you greetings from the City of Montgomery to the 9th Annual Voices in Black History speech competition. In this particular climate of COVID, we know that it is particularly difficult to program any public event with any degree of safety. And so I applaud the staff of the Montgomery City County Library System for making this viewing possible, and you can enjoy it safely from your homes. Last year, we celebrated American engineers, tennis champions, entrepreneurs, and poets, Black history dignitaries like Paul Laurence Dunbar, Arthur Ashe, Dr. Mae Jemison, and Madam C.J. Walker. But this year, we are celebrating and making tribute to performing artists, social activists, sports luminaries, and history-making politicians, the likes of Vanessa Williams, Hara Belafonte, Ruby Bridges, Jackie Robinson, Malcolm X, Joanne Robinson, and Kamala Harris. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah, and you enjoy as we all wait to see who is going to win the 2021 competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones-Smedley. Now let's begin. First, we will have our 3rd through 6th grade contestants. After each contestant, we'll have a short, brief trivia question for you, our viewers, to participate with us tonight. Now that we all have been waiting for our first contestant, Mr. Mason Dillard as Harry Belafonte.
My feet are tired, but my soul is resting. My feet are tired, but my soul is resting. My feet are tired, but my soul is resting. I'm walking for the glory of the Lord. I am grateful to be here in Montgomery, to see all the changes that have taken place. I remember the concert at the City of St. Jude after the March from Selma. This key, it is my hotel room key from that night. I've kept it all these years because I was deeply moved by the courage and resolve of the marchers. It is a tangible reminder of the many sacrifices we've made and the blood that was shed for voting rights. When Ella Baker needed money for the SCLC, I was happy to give. When young freedom riders like John Lewis and Diane Nash needed help with SNCC and CORE, I raised money for my campaigns, especially when they experienced violence from law enforcement and white supremacists. As an artist and a human being, I cannot isolate myself from the struggles of my people. As a nation, we have a poor history on human rights. Our government massacred and stole land from indigenous people. African prisoners of war were brought here and forced to work. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but involuntary servitude persists for those convicted of breaking the law. Black codes re-enslaved African Americans. Freedmen and their children were unfairly convicted of crime. The South Sea economy depended on convict leasing of Black boys and men. Over 100 years later, Black and brown people are still targets of law enforcement. We're building more prisons and we're building schools. 2 mega prisons will be built in Alabama. Billions of dollars will go to private companies instead of public schools. About 67% of state prison inmates have not completed high school. We've got to discover a way to stop the posturing and become more honest. Building more prisons will not solve the problem of crime. When Miss Rosa Parks was 81 years old, she was attacked and robbed in her home. A young Black man was convicted of this crime and sent to a correctional facility. Miss Parks prayed for the man and hoped to see an end to the desperate conditions in a country that may not act that way. This same man was convicted of home invasion last year. Oh, after 25 years, his behavior had not changed. Going to jail did not help him overcome poverty and homelessness. But the mass incarceration of Black and brown people continues. The other predicament we have with law enforcement is the excessive use of force against us. The killing of unarmed Black people by police is lynching. It must stop. Let's continue to have nonviolent protests against police brutality. With our continued activism, we can force change and hold police accountable for their action. As a nation, we must work together to solve the problems of poverty and racial discrimination. I'm still here to speak about things that nobody else wants to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Now, who thinks they know who Harry Belafonte is? Harry Belafonte was one of the most successful Jamaican American pop stars in history. What was he also known as? The King of Calypso, King of Soul, King of Pop, or King of Reggae? Let me start our polls now. For you, our contestants watching us through YouTube, you can go ahead and answer us through chat and let us know, what do you think? Is Harry Belafonte the King of Calypso, King of Soul, King of Pop, or King of Reggae? Now our viewers in Zoom are answering. I hope you out on YouTube are watching and listening and answering also. We're just waiting for our judges to finish with their scores. So what do you think? Harry Belafonte, was he the King of Calypso, King of Soul, King of Pop, or King of Reggae? Well, it's pretty definite. Most of y'all don't think he was the King of Pop. I'm pretty sure some of us know who that is. But what is he? Was he the King of Reggae, Calypso? It looks like we're pretty close on one of those two. Or maybe the King of Soul. Those judges must have had a really hard time making those decisions. Okay, so let's find out. It is the King of Calypso. Congrats to those that knew who it was. So let us continue on. Up next is Lillian Shelton as Ruby Bridges.
It started as a regular first day of school. Mama straightened my blouse and got a new skirt. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Ruby Bridges. I'm about to go to my new school. Let me tell you a little about myself. I was born September 8th, 1954 in Tylertown, Mississippi. I have 4 other siblings and I'm the oldest. On my way to school, I started to think that I would be left out at everything because my skin looked differently. When I got to school, there were no friendly faces. There are white people of all ages holding signs and shouting at me. The government with guns on each side of me, I went through the crowd with sweaty palms and anxiety. Most parents pulled their kids out of school, so I learned alone with my teacher, Mrs. Henry. Everything seemed so big, and since I was the only one in the classroom, everything seemed even bigger. When I got home, I told Mama how I was scared when I went through the crowd, but I liked Mrs. Henry and how she was kind. Things got worse with the protest, so every day before I got to the angry crowd, I said a prayer. One day, I forgot to say a prayer, and just then, right in the middle of the crowd, I stopped and prayed, even though I was petrified. When I got to my classroom, Mrs. Henry seemed very observant and what I was doing because she thought I was talking to her. After a while, kids came back to school, and unlike I thought, they were kind to me. When I was 12, my parents divorced, and my mom was a single mom. It felt like everything was collapsing. I went to college and graduated and got a degree. Finally, the big day had arrived. I got married to Malcolm Hall in 1984 and had 4 sons. Someone murdered my brother and he died in 1993. I've written 3 books called Through My Eyes, Ruby Bridges Goes to School, My True Story, and This Is Your Time. One thing I believe as an activist is that America as a whole does not do a good job of teaching the next generation about racism and how to handle it. Right? There have been laws that have fixed some of these problems, but as generations continue, people do not teach their children about racism and how to take care of it. Racism is a grown-up disease that we must stop using our children to spread. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Are you ready for the next question? At age 6, Ruby Bridges became the very first African-American child to attend an all-white public school. How old is she now? Is she 105, 87, 66, or 43? So do you know? How old is Ruby Bridges now? Is she 105, 87, 66, or 43? Don't forget, you can answer in chat, or for our Zoom contestants and judges, they can answer right in Zoom. Let's see, a lot of people think 66, a few 105 or 87. No one thinks 43 though. We're just waiting on our judges once again. A very hard one to score. And it's just going to get harder throughout the night as our contestants continue on. Well, it appears that our judges have turned in their scores. So now let's see. How old is Ruby Bridges? That's right. She is 66 years old. It truly wasn't that long ago in history. Next up, Michaela Austin as Marion Anderson.
Hi, I'm Marion Anderson, and I was a musical prodigy in the 1900s. I was born in Philadelphia on February 27th, 1897. Felt so good when I sang, but can you believe my whole career almost didn't happen? You see, back then we were very poor, and we couldn't afford for me to take singing lessons. If it weren't for the church choir offering to give me lessons, I don't know where I would have ended up. From there, my life seemed to go so fast. When I was 13, I got invitations to sing at other churches. I sang at church events and such. When I was 15, I got the chance to take lessons with Mary Saunders Patterson. After that, upon graduating, my principal gave me the opportunity to meet Giuseppe Baghetti. Baghetti was moved to tears when I sang Deep River for him. After that, in my 20s, I started receiving invitations to go on tours. I said yes, still keeping my education in mind, however, because I still wasn't sure that the whole singing career would work out. On April 23rd, 1924, I held a concert in New York's Town Hall. It didn't go as planned, though. I was so distraught, I thought of quitting my whole career right then and there. But something, I don't know what, urged me to keep going. After that, I entered 2 singing competitions and won both of them. Arthur Judson was at the last competition and was so impressed, he offered me a contract right then and there. Of course, I said yes. It was the chance of a lifetime. After that, I started receiving invitations to study abroad. I went to Europe and back to the United States so many times, more than I can count. I went to so many countries and met so many people. I met presidents and I met kings and queens and famous singers. However, even though I was famous, some people were still too blinded by racism. An example of this is in 1939. My manager tried to book me a concert in Constitution Hall, but the manager that ran the building said that no blacks would ever perform there. I was so upset, and the public was too. The public were too. Eleanor Roosevelt was so upset that she resigned from the Daughters of the American Revolution, which was the group that owned the building. So instead, the Roosevelts, my manager, and some people at the NAACP got me a concert on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. After that, I started going on more tours and more trips abroad. And a few years later, I got my chance to sing at Constitution Hall. And for that night, I insisted that they had integrated seating. And after that, I insisted that they use vertical seating, which gave blacks the opportunity to sit next to the orchestra and other places they normally would not be able to sit. I went so many places and did so many things. My life was more exciting than Disneyland, which was built 10 years before my farewell concert. I did this year-long concert from 1864 to 1964 to 1965. I still remember my last concert on April 19th, 1965. I won several awards as well. I won the Bach Award in 1941, and I won the American Medal of Freedom in 1963. I gave it everything I had whenever I was on the stage performing. People helped me, so in turn I wanted to help the people. I endured many hard things like racism, poverty, and failures, but I overcame them with flying colors. That is why I feel extremely lucky to be Marian Anderson, the famous contralto.
Thank you, Miss Austin. In addition to her outstanding career as a singer, what was Marian Anderson appointed to by President Dwight D. Eisenhower? Was it the U.S. Commissioner of Civil Rights, the U.S. Delegate to the United Nations, U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, or the official singer for the White House? Ms. Anderson did many things, but what was appointed to her by President Eisenhower? U.S. Commission of Civil Rights, U.S. Delegate to the United Nations, U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, or official singer of the White House? Oh, this one's hard. Looks like people are all over the map on this one. How are y'all doing on YouTube? Y'all think you know? Okay, let's find out. Well, y'all didn't get it right, but it was the U.S. Delegate to the United Nations. Now, for some special remarks from the President of the Library Board of Trustees, Dr. Katie Bell.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, whichever one it is when you're seeing this. I am so pleased to bring you greetings from the Montgomery City County Public Library. It has been such a pleasure to just know that you're participating in this project. We are very, very happy as board members to support any project that's being prepared by the staff for our people and all of the citizens of Montgomery, and particularly our young people during this difficult time. So I am very pleased and I congratulate you and I welcome you to the facilities wherever you are, as I will say again, whenever it's open. Programs like this help us to carry out the mission of the public library system. That includes all of the branches as well as the Hampton downtown. We are really aiming to, as our mission always states, to provide for you all of the recent information, both print and non-print, to help the quality of life for our students as well as our adults. And when we say the quality of life, we really mean every aspect of your life, whether it's mom and daddy, with their personal lives, their professional lives, and of course you for your student as well as your personal life. I want you to be always mindful of the fact that not only do we provide books, magazines, print materials, but the technology part is there for you at all times. Word is here to help you with any activity you may have. And as we carry out our mission, we're interested in improving your quality of life, whether in providing historical material as well as current materials to help you deal with whatever problem you're dealing with. And how are we doing this? The Montgomery City County Library has been around for a long time, more than 100 years. We've been in existence and been serving the citizens of Montgomery. And we intend to continue that for another 100 years plus. But the kinds of services that we provide, and I hope will enhance your life and help you with your life situation, whether it be academic or the social life, or as I said, your parents' professional or personal lives. We provide, as you hopefully you know, the bookmobile that moves around throughout the county. And there are 10 branches. So we're hoping and praying that we have provided convenient services for you, our students. Here again, I have to go back to how proud and happy I am just to see you participate in this activity, even though we're closed right at this moment, but we will reopen. And once we reopen, please take advantage of it and I encourage you to continue to take if you have been using the library. The library will offer you computers. They will offer you space for meetings. They will offer you space for association, any activity that you have within means and the reach of us. We have provided and upgraded the facilities, and you will find beautiful facilities. And I especially want you to see that. And for you, our student, take advantage of the children's room. There you will find computers for your use, and someone will be there to help you find whatever you need. So that's a part of our service, being available, having trained people available to come to your rescue whenever it's necessary. As I mentioned, we do have 10 branches. So if you can't get downtown to Hampton, locate a branch close to you. So if you can walk to it if you possibly can. But right now, with the virtual teaching and the virtual learning and the virtual schools that we are having to encounter, I want you to underline the use of your public library for the hotspots. Every library, branch as well as downtown, will provide for you hotspots to help you so you won't miss anything. You can just come and park nearby in the parking lot, etc., in order to take advantage of the hotspots. In addition to that, while we are closed, and hopefully we will be open relatively soon, the library has not missed a beat. We have kept up with everything that's going on, all of the materials, providing services for you, your parents, and everyone. And I call it the drop-off service. All you need to do is just call the library and someone will answer the phone and direct you to the right source to secure whatever materials you need and put it in the drop box. All you have to do is come by and pick it up and return it there. So that's one of the services. Another service I want you to remember, during the summer, we will provide programs just as we have always done. It may have to be virtual. I can't promise how things are going to be by June, but whether it's virtual or whether it's face-to-face, programs such as this will be offered for you. So always check the paper, call the library to see what is being offered during the summer. If we can help enhance the materials and the experiences that you have missed during the year, hopefully we'll make them up once this library is back open and in full operation. But here again, as a mother and a grandmama, I am just so happy that you have taken the time, even during the difficult times that we're living in, to participate in a program such as this, because you just never know which way God has, the way God has planned for you. Speaking may be a lifesaver for you. Writing might be a lifesaver. But whichever direction your life goes, the public library will be there to service and assist you. If we can ever be of service and you have any need, let us know. If it's dealing with technology, if it's dealing with print materials, just call the library, call downtown, and we'll be so happy. The staff is there, they're willing to help you however they possibly can, and to be sure that you're getting all the materials you need to enhance your life at this point and to assist you with your coursework. I challenge you to continue to do the very best you can, to pay attention during the virtual classes and give it your very best, because you are the movers and the shakers of tomorrow. You're the ones who have to take care of all of us. So let's give it our very best. And so you will be prepared to take over when those of you when others with white hair like mine that you're looking at will be able to step aside and feel secure that this generation of students are well prepared, and the public library system played a major role in enhancing your learning and helping you to develop as a good, strong citizen and a productive citizen in whichever career you decide to choose. May God bless you. It's a privilege just taking a minute to speak to you, and I will listen to you, the presentation when it's shown. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Bell, for all of those important reminders about all the things that the library offers. We are not done yet. Next is our 7th through 12th grade contestants who are anxiously awaiting to begin. First up, Tori Fuller as Kamala Harris.
Hello there. My name is Kamala D. Harris. I was born on October 20th, 1964 in Oakland, California, to my mother, Shamala Gopalan Harris, and father, Donald Harris. My mother immigrated from India when she was only 19 years old, and my father immigrated from Jamaica. I am the oldest to my one sibling, Maya Harris. My father taught at Stanford University, and my mother was a breast cancer scientist. Growing up, my mother would look at me and say, "Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you are not the last." At a very young age, I was a part of the second class to integrate in my public schools. Even at a young age, I knew what they were doing was not right and needed to be a change. When boarding the school bus to attend Thousand Oaks Elementary School in North Berkeley, even at a young age, I knew what they were doing was not right and needed to be a change. I studied political science and economics at Howard University in 1986. Howard University is an HBCU college, which is an historically Black college and university. It is there that I decided to pledge and join the first African American female sorority group ever established, the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. After graduating, I earned my law degree at the University of California, Hastings College of Law in San Francisco, California in 1989. After leaving, I took the bar exam. but I did not pass. I was disappointed, but I did not give up. I took it again and passed. I later worked as a deputy district attorney in Oakland, California from 1990 to 1999 and had a reputation of being tough and no nonsense as I dealt with cases of gang violence and drug trafficking. I later climbed the ranks and became a district attorney in 2004 and eventually ran for Attorney General of California in 2010 and was reelected in 2014. My mother, who was always my number one supporter, got really sick and died of colon cancer on February 11, 2009. It was hard to face many elections without her. One day, my best friend tried to set me up on a blind date. I did not want to do it at first, but she gave him my number anyways. I thought the guy was a little crazy because he left me a long message on my voicemail, but when we talked, we laughed so much. That man was Douglas Emhoff, an entertainment lawyer, and when I saw him, it was love at first sight. On August 22nd, 2014, Douglas and I were married. I became a wife and a stepmom in one day. We have a large blended family, and that includes our children, Cole and Ella. They both came up with calling me their mamala instead of stepmom. In 2015, I announced my candidacy that I was running for Senator of California. I later won the election in 2016 as my husband held the Bible at my swearing ceremony in January of 2017. In 2019, I made my big announcement that I was running for president in the 2020 election. In September of 2020, my campaign was in serious trouble and we were almost out of money. I later decided to end my campaign trail, and my family supported me every step of the way. They were there to love me, have my back, to talk it through, and to help me. Last summer, America's racial injustice problem became the forefront in the news. After Joe Biden won the primary election, people thought it might be a wise choice to choose an African American woman as his running mate. Joe Biden thought that was a good idea also, and in August of 2020, I received the call of my life. 1 month ago, I made history by becoming the first Indian and Black American to be inaugurated as the Vice President of the United States. In recent days, we have seen how ugly hate is and how quickly it can spread. Maya Angelou once said, "The plague of racism is insidious, entering into our minds as smoothly and invisibly as floating airborne microbes enter into our bodies to find lifelong purchase in our bloodstreams." Today, we face a plague of racial injustice, and an international crisis of COVID-19. I plan to do my best and make changes that will mend our hearts and heal our world. This is a new day, a new dawn, and I'm feeling good about the wonderful things ahead. Thank you, and may God bless America.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Vice President Kamala Harris is the first female vice president and Black Asian American vice president. What else is she the first to do? Was she the first Black woman to graduate from Yale Law School? Black woman to serve in the state legislature? Black woman in the Senate? Or first Black woman to serve as California's Attorney General? So what else was first for Vice President Harris? Okay, let's see what the scores say. Oh, a few of you changed your thoughts. Okay, most of you think she's the first Black woman to serve as California's Attorney General. And you are correct. Kamala Harris was the first Black woman to serve as California's Attorney General, but also our first Black Vice President and female Vice President. Our second contestants in the 7th through 12th grade category is Aaron Fuller as Frederick Douglass.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frederick Douglass, and tonight I would like to give you all a first-hand experience on what it's like to be a slave. Being a slave, it drags you down and makes you feel like a worthless piece of trash blowing along the side of the road. It makes you feel like a nobody tossed to the wayside, whose value in the eyes of your owner are less than cattle. Tonight, I want to share with you all my experience and how terrible and awful it was. On my many travels to Europe, I discovered that slavery has started has been going on since ancient Mesopotamia, which was probably known as one of the first earliest settlements in the world. Many of the Greek empires, such as the Greek Empire and America, started off by using slaves. Being a slave, you always get the bare minimum. You get enough clothes to keep you from being naked. You get enough shelter to keep you from freezing, and you're crammed into cabins with 20 or 30 people. Being a slave, you don't get the right to learn or even to keep your family. Most times, your mom, your dad, brothers and sisters are traded and sold away, never to be seen again. Your owners don't let you learn because they figure if you can read or write, then you'll be able to know that there are people out there who are trying to fight for you and get you your freedom and independence. If you can't write, you can't give people out there a firsthand experience on what it's like to be you and what your life is like. Forge a pass and be able to escape easily. But even if you do attempt to escape, they'll hunt you down. They pass laws that even in the northern states, the bounty hunters and your former slave owner, they can still come and get you and bring you back to where they think you belong as their property. During my travels, people have told me, well, if it's such a problem for you and your people, why haven't you guys tried to forcibly force your way out of slavery? I've told them, my friends, that this isn't very possible. There are two reasons for this. The first reason is because our slave owners, they like to hire men. These men, their sole job was to watch over us and make sure we didn't even think about disobeying the master. Men like Edward Covey were tasked with beating us even for thinking about rebellion. The second reason, my friends, is because we can't trust one another. You may not know this, but on a plantation, there are field slaves and there are house slaves. They put the darker slaves in the field. You have to work all day in the sun and you barely get food at night. If you're a house slave, you have to work year round in the house, cooking, cleaning, fanning, tending to the master and his family's every need. When you're a slave, the mistress, they like to offer you gifts for ratting on other slaves, such as maybe a hat or shirt. But other than that, you don't get anything. And life as a slave is so terrible, you'd rather take a new, worn out hat than being trusted by your fellow slaves. So tonight, if there's one thing you've learned, I want you to know that slavery is evil and it needs to be abolished. You can't sit around and wait for this to ease on out or for someone to finally get a brain and say, hey guys, maybe this isn't right. Because I assure you, as long as there's slavery, there'll never be freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fullard. Now, what two positions were held by Frederick Douglass after the Civil War? Was it a judge, President of Freedmen's Bank, United States Marshal, or the Director of Foreign Affairs? Now, this time it's a multiple choice. 2 of these are right and 2 are wrong. What 2 positions were held by Frederick Douglass after the Civil War? A judge, President of the Freedmen's Bank, United States Marshal, or Director of Foreign Affairs? Okay, judges are done. So let's find out. What 2 positions did he hold? That's correct. He was the president of the Freedmen's Bank and United States Marshal. Next, Marguerite Schuler as Ellen Craft.
Hello, my name is Ellen Craft, and I was raised an escaped slave in Macon, Georgia. I married my husband, William Craft, in 1846, and in early December 1848, together we escaped slavery. We traveled north to Boston, Massachusetts by various steamship and train. To do this, I dressed as a white male, traveling with my loyal servant, who was played by William. I had both my chin and my arm wrapped in poultices to avoid speaking and writing. We arrived in Boston in late December 1848, and upon arrival, we stayed with a Mr. Lewis Hayden in Beacon Hill. Now, at that time, Beacon Hill was a hot spot for escaped slaves fleeing for their freedom. Beacon Hill was an established Black community protected by an active abolitionist society. While we lived in Boston, we spoke at several anti-slavery conventions, and we spoke alongside others such as William Lloyd Garrison and Frederick Douglass. In 1850, the Fugitive Slave Act was passed, which made it illegal for people in free states to harbor escaped slaves, such as me and William. Bounty hunters were employed to bring escaped slaves back to their plantations. A judge placed out a warrant for the return of me and William. 2 bounty hunters arrived in Boston in October 1850. Their names were Hughes and Knight. Because of the active community, they frequently found themselves at the heart of mobs, telling them to go home. While they were in Boston, we stayed at multiple houses to avoid capture. One night, I stayed in the lowering house while William stayed with a Mr. Lewis Hayden. Now, a famous story about that night was told to me by William. He said that Mr. Hayden armed himself with barrels of gunpowder and a match. And when they arrived for William, Lewis threatened to blow them all up. Luckily, he did not need to light the gunpowder. The bounty hunters were only in Boston for 12 days, and they left in November 1850. We decided that it was no longer safe for us in the North. In December 1850, we left Boston and went north to Halifax, Canada, to catch a ship to England. Our stagecoach broke down, and unfortunately, we missed our boat by 2 hours. We feared not being able to get housing due to William's skin color. We managed to find an inn and stayed there with the agreement that we would only stay for the night because the landlady feared losing customers. She did, however, arrange for us to stay the 2 weeks until the next ship with a nice Black family, a Reverend Kennedy and his wife. When we arrived in Liverpool, England, we stayed with the Reverend Francis Bishop until being invited to live with a Mr. Estlin and his family in Bristol. While in England, we spoke at several anti-slavery conventions, and we even attended the Great Exhibition to speak out against slavery. We attended the Occam School in Surrey in both a learning and a teaching capacity. We taught carpentry and sewing. In 1860, we published our book, Running 1,000 Miles for Freedom, which recounted our escape from slavery. In 1873, we moved back to the US and Georgia. We opened up the Woodville Cooperative Farm School with the purpose of educating and employing freed slaves. We closed after 5 years due to a lack of funding. After the school closed down, we moved in with our daughter in Charleston, South Carolina, and that is where we lived until we passed away.
Thank you, Ms. Schuler. Which one of these locations did Ellen Craft not travel to? Was it South Carolina, Alabama, Pennsylvania, or England? Which one of these locations did Ellen Craft not travel to? She definitely had a very long journey. So there's many places that she did visit, and not all of them are listed. But one of these is wrong. So what do you think? No one thinks South Carolina. Could it be Alabama, Pennsylvania, or England? Okay, it's time to let you know. Let me end polling. That's correct. She did not visit our beloved state of Alabama. Last but not least, Serenity Griffin as Joanne Robinson.
I am not usually the one for speeches. I, Joanne Robinson, prefer to be behind the scenes. But due to the present circumstances today, I believe it is my duty to lift you all spirits. For some reason, you all are feeling down in this jail cell. You all are losing hope. But let me remind you of why we are here in the first place. December 1st, 1955, that was the day of the arrest of Rosa Parks, just one of the many innocent African Americans arrested for sitting in the white section of a public bus. After years planning and organizing, and after countless times advocating for better treatment of African Americans in the Montgomery public transportation system, it was finally time to proceed with the actual carrying out of a citywide bus boycott. It was time to take a stand, to enact and demand for a change. That's why I had to get those leaflets out. I had to. All 32,000 leaflets for my people, African Americans. After years of being humiliated and treated as inferior, we were fed up. That was my mindset then, to stand up for what is right and to speak up for justice and equality. And despite my present circumstances, that is still my mindset. Now, February 21st, 1956, I am in jail. Do I regret anything? No. Did I try to avoid getting arrested? Yes, I did. But still, do I regret anything? No. We are all in jail because we are advocating for equal rights and justice. It is our right to do this. So we will not be confined by this jail cell. We will continue to rise up. Let me tell you all the same things I told my classmates when I gave my valedictorian speech. I told them that as we were accepting our diplomas, we were also accepting the challenge to take our education into the world, to make a difference whether big or small. We were embarking on a new journey into adulthood. We were ending one chapter of our lives to be brave and go out into the world and start another. As we were embarking on this new journey, as we were reaching our dream careers, and as we were trying to find our purposes in life, I wanted my classmates and I to remember to never let go of our beliefs and values, never accept defeat and keep going, never silently stand idly by when you see something is not right. Speak for justice and change. As African Americans, we may not have had the same rights as our fellow whites as we do today, but we still have the right to speak up for our fellow brothers and sisters. I left them with this one thing above all else. I told them that we all can be great at something. We can all be our own valedictorian. We each have the potential to reach our full potential as valedictorians of whatever we choose to be in life. I told them that we can all be valedictorians if we keep being great, keep pushing forward, and keep speaking up for what is right. Reaching the accomplishment of valedictorian was a great moment for me, and it brings a smile to my face. No one would have ever thought that a valedictorian would be in jail, yet here I am, still with a smile on my face because I have stayed true to my speech. I've stayed true to my beliefs and values. I've made a stand for change, and I have spoken up for peace and equality. Planning the Montgomery bus boycott had to be done, from children being kicked off and arrested, and men and women being brutally beaten by the bus drivers. This treatment was no longer acceptable. The Black community had to advocate for our civil rights. It took our community to come together to stand up for what is right and to stand up for what is justified. So now I am in jail. We all are in jail because of our involvement in the Montgomery bus boycott. But we will not be silent, and we will continue to keep fighting for change. We will continue to speak up for what is right. Even faced with adversity and maybe a little jail time, we will keep going. Whether behind the scenes or in the spotlight, we will be a part of the change. I am in jail and I am happy. We all should be happy. We are a part of the change in our society. We are truly making a difference. As I said in my valedictorian speech those many years ago, we can all be our own valedictorian in our path, this path that we have chosen in life. This is the time for us to be great, a time for us to be an example for the generations to come. So we must never lose hope, and we must keep going. This movement will reach outside the bounds of Montgomery, Alabama. We can all now say today, February 21st, 1956, that we are all valedictorians because we have reached the zenith of achievement. We have achieved greatness because we have stood up for change and justice. We may be in jail, but our minds are not. So let's continue the movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Congratulations to all of our contestants tonight. Now, as our judges tally the results, one last question. What did Joanne Robinson do when she boarded the bus on 1949? Did she enter before every white person had boarded? Did she sit in the whites only section? Did she not address the white bus driver as sir? Or did she speak to a white woman? So what did Joanne Robinson do when she boarded a bus in 1949? Did she enter before every white person had boarded? She sat in the whites only section. She didn't address the white bus driver as sir. Or did she speak to a white woman? I think a majority of people know the answer to this one. It was a fairly easy question, but let's see how the results turn out soon. All of our contestants did an amazing job tonight, including in our preliminaries, where some of our runners-up also did an amazing job. If you haven't gotten a chance, go to our YouTube page and find our preliminary video, where you'll get a small snippet of what our preliminaries looked like and see every single one of our contestants this year. It has been an amazing year to come to you virtually so that we can all stay safe at home. We're still waiting for those results to come in. It takes just a little bit longer at the very end to see who our first, second, and third place winners are tonight. And as you wait, don't forget to be putting into chat, what did Joanne Robinson do when she boarded a bus in 1949? Did she enter before every white person who boarded? Did she sit in the whites only section? Did she address the white bus driver as, or did she not address the white bus driver as sir? Or did she speak to a white woman? It looks like those results are starting to come in. Let me end polling. And you were correct. She sat in the whites only section. Our results are in. The Montgomery City County Public Library System is happy to introduce to you our new Assistant Director, Ms. Zella Queese Holmes, who will be announcing for us tonight our winners and close us out in final remarks. Let's just give Ms. Holmes a few moments as she reads through those names and make sure that she has them correct for you. Definitely don't want any confusion for you tonight. Now, for our contestants that are watching, just so that you're aware, you will be receiving an email from me at the end of the contest to let you know how to pick up these great prizes that we have for you. First place, that Dell Chromebook. Second place, a $100 Visa gift card. Third place, a $50 Visa gift card. And for that 7th through 12th grade group, who we had a tie in our preliminary, so we had 4 contestants tonight. That runner-up will get a bag and a goodie bag with some candy, pencils, bracelets, and bookmarks in it. Okay, and now, Assistant Director, Ms. Zella Queese Holmes.
Good evening. Every great dream begins with the dreamer. Always remember, You have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. Harriet Tubman. Good evening. I am Zelaquise Holmes, Assistant Library Director. I would like to congratulate all participants of the 2021 Voices in Black History speech competition for your effort and commitment in preparing for the competition. Now I will announce the winners. Starting with grades 3rd through 6th. Third place winner is Mason Dillard, portraying Harry Belafonte. Second place winner, Lillian Shelton, portraying Ruby Bridges. And the first place winner is Michaela Austin, portraying Marian Anderson. Now for the 7th through 12th grade. Fourth place winner, Aaron Fuller, portraying Frederick Douglass. Third place winner, Marguerite Schuler, portraying Ellen Craft. Second place winner is Tori Fuller, portraying Kamala Harris. And the first place winner is Serenity Griffin, portraying Joanne Robinson. Again, congratulations to all participants of the 2021 Voices in Black History speech competition. The Voices in Black History speech competition came from a vision from a former librarian at the E.L. Louder Library. The first Montgomery City County Public Library Voices in Black History speech competition was held in February of 2012. Through the years, the competition has evolved into one of the most successful programs. We have been able to reach this level of success with community participation, dedicated staff, and committed sponsors. We would like to thank the Library Board under the leadership of Dr. Katie Bell, the City of Montgomery, Montgomery County Commission, our recently retired Library Director, Mrs. Juanita O's, and Ross Clayton Funeral Home, who has sponsored this program for the last 2 years. Also, a heartfelt thank you and gratitude to the 2021 Voices in Black History Speech Competition Committee and judges, Sarah Foster, Greg Loggins, Stacy Williams, Lindsay Hamilton, Elizabeth McCord, James Cannon, Julia Ann Jenkins, and Courtney Williams. Your dedication and your hard work is to be commended. Thank you all for attending and have a good evening.